so we're going to start with a short sleeve onesie. When you lay this onesie out, you want to make sure that it is unbuttoned at the bottom. And we're going to start with a sharp pair of scissors, and we're just going to cut up that side right along that seam, and we're going to cut out the sleeve. All right, I'm going to flip it over since I'm right-handed just to make it a little bit easier on myself, and I'm going to go up that side and once again out that sleeve. That's going to separate the front and back for me. Now I still have to go across the top, so I'm going to go across the top from neck to sleeve, straight across. Now these seams can be a little tricky, so just navigate your scissors through those seams and clip that all the way through. Here I'm just going to keep continuing straight across, neck, and out the sleeve. There you go, and that's going to separate your front and your back piece. It's ready for interfacing. Now for a long sleeve onesie, we're going to make the same cuts, but we're going to go ahead and cut those sleeves off, essentially making it a short sleeve onesie. Then the same process is going to apply. We're going to cut up those sides and across the top. I'm going to speed it up since it's the same exact process. And there you go. You got your top and your bottom piece. Now on this one, this sweater, I really want to save that pocket detail. So I'm going to cut up my side and follow almost the same procedure. I'm going to cut down the sleeve a little ways, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that into a short sleeve. Save myself some cutting. I'm going to cut the other side into a short sleeve, and then flip it and proceed to cut up the other side. Always following that seam as close as possible. Now I'll cut across the top, starting on the sleeve to the neck, jumping across, neck, back down the sleeve. Okay. Now once I take that front off, oops, missed a spot. All right. Now once I look at this front, I have plenty of room to preserve that pocket detail. All right, little girls' clothes have lots of ruffles, so ruffles don't like to lay flat, and we need something that's going to lay flat for interfacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut right along the top of those ruffles, just below that seam, to let all that fabric loose out of those ruffles. I'm going to go ahead and cut up the sides, just like so. And as you'll notice, another thing that doesn't allow the fabric to lay flat like we want is the elastic. Super easy. We're just going to trim that off, as well as those snaps along the bottom. And we'll trim the other side of elastic off around those legs. And there we go. A large piece of fabric ready for interfacing, laying flat. All right, fitted pajamas. I really want to preserve this snap detail down the front, and to do that I'm just going to cut off the bottom part of the sleeper. No need to save those legs on here. I'm also going to cut the sleeve shorter, make cutting easier later, and then I'm going to cut it just like a t-shirt or just like a onesie, so up the sides and across the top. Speeding up just to make that a little quicker, since we've already covered that. All right, now we have our front ready to go. Make sure those snaps are still snapped, and I would top stitch. All right, this little onesie, we're not going to preserve those snaps, but look at those feet. Oh my goodness, we're going to save those. We're also going to save the back. So for the feet, we're just going to cut off a little ways above them, kind of separate them from the rest of the sleeper. Now we're going to take each of those little feet and we're going to go right along those seams and cut the cute little toe right out of the foot of that sleeper. Staying as close to that seam as we can without cutting the toe piece itself. And it's good to go slow on this. It's curved, it's thick, especially if it's a fleece sleeper. So take your time, don't rush. Careful not to cut those little ears off. And it's ready to be top stitched on a block. So cute. All right, this little jacket is actually snapped. So we're going to unsnap it, lay it out. And we're going to see what we need to do to make it lay flat. So what I would do, it has to be at least 7 inches to fit our interfacing, and that's right at that seam under the arm. So we're going to move over just slightly, cut up around the back side of that sleeve there, and all the way up the neck. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and cut that sleeve off, get that extra fabric out of the way, and now we will flip it over and cut the back side of that sleeve out to leave it flat, cutting across the top and down the bottom of the sleeve and removing that extra. Now it's laying flat and it's going to be good to go to fit our interfacing. This little snap tab could definitely break a needle, no good. We're just going to clip that off, get that out of the way. Now we're good to go. All right, for pants, these pants have an all-over pattern. So we're not going to cut down the sides of these pants. We are actually going to cut straight up the middle. So taking my scissors, cutting straight up the middle of those pants. Okay, and then we are going to cut the inseam. So starting at the bottom, because that was easier, I'm going to cut right up that inseam. Then I can open those pants and lay that flat, one large piece of fabric ready to go, except the elastic. So we're going to trim that elastic right off the top, and that's going to allow our fabric to lay nice and flat, ready for interfacing. These pants have a nice, cute little dog on the back of them we want to save. So to do that, I'm just going to cut these legs off. All that extra fabric is not needed. Now I'm going to cut up the sides. All right, now when I try and separate them, they're still stuck there in the middle. So I'm just going to cut right along that seam that's connecting the front and back of the pants. Now when we look at it, it's not quite the full 7 inches from top to bottom that I need. So what we can do is we can actually lay those pieces over right there in the middle. It's going to come together pretty seamlessly, and we can just top stitch that down to secure, giving me the full area that I need. So here we go. This is after I've top stitched. You can kind of see that striped fabric. Where I've top stitched it down, it's good to go. I also cut off the elastic waistband on the top to help it make it flat, and it's good to go for interfacing. Now these pants have something a little different. Look at the knees. Oh, they're so cute. We're going to save that. So this time I'm going to go ahead and cut those legs off, keeping the legs this time. And then I am going to cut up the outside of these legs because it is a much straighter seam. That inseam is much more curved, much more difficult to sew. I'm going to cut up that straight side of the leg, and then I'll place them right next to each other, making sure that they're even, and I'll sew them together right down the middle. So as you can see here, I've sewn them together. They're straight across, even. The seam goes straight down the middle, and I just finger press that open, ready for interfacing. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you again soon.